I'm currently in a Scania truck, and this truck was supplied obviously by Cable Price, because it's got an SI low deck, set of scales in here and a Bigfoot tyre inflation system. I suspect that this might have been supplied into the central North Island, and I can't get the CB out. I don't know who the idiot is that's installing the CBs for Scania, for the importer. These CBs come with some flathead screws. Please use the flathead screws. If you don't, you'll be able to drive the CB into the DIN bracket, but then you can't get it out again. Or at least you can't get it out again without doing significant damage. I'm going to have to lever on this radio now, and I'm probably going to mark the panel or bend something or break something as a result of somebody's foolery. Anyway, we'll press on and see what happens. We'll have more to say about the installation of the CB in this truck shortly. We've got the Scania diagram for the communications and broadcasting radio. So we've got two aerials, and they should actually come into the roof shelf, which is where I am. They're both labelled U2. There's no frequency given as to what these aerials actually are, what their operating frequency is. Anyway, when we look in the overhead, indeed we do have a coax cable that comes out here. It's got a fast fit connector on the end of it. I've just put a wire in there, and I've got the end of my test lead on that so that I can go onto the roof with my multimeter and attempt to figure out what aerial base or what antenna on the roof this thing connects with. We'll go and have a look, because I think last time I did this it doesn't connect with anything. And just to prove my test, here it is there. It's testing through my lead back to that point there. So we'll get on the roof and see if we get a tone. No tone here off this base. We'll try the other one. There you go, no tone off this antenna either. So we've pulled out our Inritsu Sightmaster, and we've got frequency 1 of 25 megahertz, frequency 2 of 27 megahertz, and an SWR at the bottom of 1 up the left hand side and 3 at the top. So whatever is connected to this cable, it isn't a CB antenna. It doesn't even appear to have much in the way of resonance. So I've no idea what this connector leads to or what it does, but I can tell you one thing: it isn't a CB aerial. I don't know quite who's doing these installations like this, but it's no wonder the driver complains of short range. I'm surprised he gets any range at all, to be honest. Okay. We'll see. We might do some more investigation, but I really don't have the time to pull the headlining apart here. So the other alternative is to install a New Zealand CB, so that's 26 megahertz aerial on the roof. I've already started investigating that. I've got the light fitting out. If we put the aerial on the driver's side, it's more likely to survive. And if we can find a suitable location for it, that might be the answer. But this Scania supplied coaxial cable that appears out of the headlining here is definitely not an aerial. Okay, we're on the roof now looking for a potential location for a CB antenna, a real CB antenna. We've got horns here. There's a grommet there for the for the feed for the horn. And we've got this here, which is interesting. I don't know quite what that's for. I might inquire about that, but that's an existing hole that potentially could be opened up for an aerial base to fit through. And see if we can see that from the inside. See if we can see daylight. Oh, yes we can. There's daylight over there. Alright. Can I get my hand up in there to antenna base fitting in? Yes I can. Okay. So that might be quite useful. There's the other grommet for the horn going up in there. Okay, now the other thing I'll need to investigate is, can I get from this light fitting, can I go over there and down in behind this locker? So I'll just feed a piece of wire or a draw cord or something over there to start off with and see whether or not that goes through before I make a decision to get too gnarly with big holes. Okay, Scania trucks are quite handy in many respects. There's a rubber mat. Sorry, we'll start again. Start from the beginning. This is the overhead locker above where the radio is going to mount. I'll open that up, and there's a rubber mat here. If you peel the rubber mat away, you will find a plate that you can take out. And there's also another panel that sits just there that you can spring out of place. And I've just passed I use fiberglass curtain rods. They're 3mm curtain rods. They're kind of handy because they're good for poking behind things. Because they're fiberglass, if you poke it into electrical wiring, it won't short. And there's the other end of it there. So there is a path. You can just see it just there. There is a path over this overhead locker to get a cable through. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to put an aerial through that hole that we discovered earlier. One with the daylight shining through over there. And we'll put a real aerial on the roof of this truck. And then see what things look like. Right, so here are the bits I'm going to install here. This is a GME pre-tuned 26 meg antenna, AE2400N. I'm going to use a UHF 119 connector. I'm not going to bother with a fast fit. Fast fits are terrible things because they rattle loose, and if you over tighten them you can actually blow the center of the connector out. I might show you that on video one day. And this is just an MB10 base, and I'll put this in and seal it up. It's knotted up tight so she's not going to leak. But we'll get up on the roof and make sure things are all going to fit and work and go from there. Alright, we'll snip there was a zip tie holding that onto there. We'll snap that off and drop that down in there. And of course this comes up from below, but let's just make sure the holes are right size. Oh, look at that, it's actually a perfect size. Okay, so we'll put sealant around that and present that from the bottom. We don't even need to increase the size of the hole in the roof. Isn't that marvellous? Okay, so we're all prepared to pull that through now. Now, this is the tricky bit, because I've got to get that hole, this, complete with its sealant around the bottom part, up through that light fitting without getting into the sealant in any of the customer's upholstery or anywhere else. So it's a two-handed job. I'll turn the camera off while I do that. Righto, and that's what things should look like. We've got our base fitting through with the sealant, a bit of flash squeezing around from the outside. There's our antenna. It's nice and solid. The grommet's no longer required. Job done. We didn't even have to increase the size of the hole. What we'll do when we get this installed properly with the connector on the other end is we'll sweep it, see what it looks like. It'll be a real antenna when we sweep it. Now we'll label some stuff here. So our new coax cable, I haven't put a connector on it yet, but we've labelled that roof right hand side. And because I'm a believer in labelling things, I've labelled that one as well. That's the original Scania FME connector that we don't know what the hell it is. Perhaps somebody from Scania might like to tell us. Okay, I promised you a look at the standing wave when this thing's installed. So right in the middle of here is the CB band. 25.5 megs down at the bottom end and 27.5 megs at the top end. So a nice dip right at 26 or thereabouts. 26 megahertz. We've got a VSW 1-to-1 on that side and 3 on up there. And so right in the bottom of the dip we've got a VSWR of about 1.2, which is what it should do, nice resonant dip. So that's a real antenna. Anyway, moving right along, we'll fit this radio back in and get out of here. Okay, and if you want to know if your radio's fully sensitive or not, what you do is you wind the squelch control right the way back that way, and then have a wee listen. Most people set the squelch control there so that they don't get disturbed as they're driving. You want to get real range out of a CB, you operate it right round there. And what you're listening to there are distance stations. You screw the squelch up here, you don't hear them. Strange that. If you continue to screw the squelch around clockwise like that, you won't even hear close stations. But anyway, it's I'm happy with that. With the squelch right back like that, we're able to hear distant stations. Test call from Southend Ave. Can I have a radio copy, please? Copy up and balance. Oh, lovely. That's all we wanted. You're loud and clear. How's my copy from your end? Copy? Loud and clear. That's all we wanted. You have a great day.
Catch up.
Alrighty. I'll set that just there and leave it like that. Call that a fix. Hopefully somebody from Scania can let us know what the hell this coax in the overhead here, what it connects to, because it doesn't appear to me to connect to anything. Anyway, we're out of here.